Shoppers crave personalized experiences from the brands they love, and a great mobile app from favorite brand does exactly that. And that is where you need IMSHOP. Fast launch with any e-commerce platform, utilize advanced loyalty programs, retain customers with community, improve conversion with content, assist your customers anytime. Best thing about IMSHOP, you can launch a fully functional mobile app with all the benefits in just 6 to 8 weeks due to ready integrations. Join many retail leaders who already use IMSHOP. IMSHOP.AI, apps for e-commerce and retail. Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Philip Lobkowski, and I'm the host of the show. Today, I have a great guest for you, Bjorn Ognibeni, who is the practical visionary and who is also known as the expert in everything that Asian markets do that Western markets are trying to catch up with. And today we're going to explore some of those things that are happening in the market, some of the trends. Hey, hi Bjorn.
Hey, good evening.
Good
The
evening.
one and
Good
only
evening.
practical visionary here.
Oh yeah, yes, love the title. Love the title. We already did one interview, I think, a couple of years ago, but a lot of things really have changed since that moment, especially with all of the AI stuff that has been happening. It's crazy to think like 2 years ago we did an interview. It's been just a different landscape than it is today. So a lot of things that I want to ask you, a lot of those questions. But I wanted to start with maybe a broader one. Like, um, you're like an expert in everything that is happening in the Asian markets and how they're building their businesses, how they're building the ecosystems, and how the Western markets and companies are trying to catch up and what they can learn from it. So, what would you say in 2026? Western retailers are still misunderstanding about like Chinese retail evolution. Is it something beyond just live streaming, like super apps, pop marts, and other stuff that we envision when we think Chinese e-commerce and retail?
Yeah, I think the problem, the core problem hasn't really changed. And is that we still have no idea what's happening in China. We know now that companies like Temu and Shein or TikTok Shop are coming to us, and we still really didn't get accustomed to it. But I think nobody really looks to China the same way everybody looks to the US. And that's usually my usual pitch is that something that we should start doing. Yeah, if you go to all these trade shows and conferences, you always see like 99% people talking about the US or coming from the US. And then there is maybe me or some of my colleagues is also working on China's topics, doing the One China presentation. And I think that hasn't changed. Yeah, it's still the same problem. And we are getting more and more surprised. The stuff that we are getting surprised by is changing. Yeah, like last year it was DeepSeek. Yeah, suddenly AI is surprising us. And cars, EVs, there are a lot of things that are happening in China that get surprise us because we don't look there. And that's something that I think we should change.
Yeah, and we had a little chat before we started recording this one, and I told you about like this showroom in Amsterdam that has this Zeekr car, like a Chinese car, and like when you first see it and you first sit in this car, you're like, wow, is that a Chinese product? It doesn't like it's the quality of what is happening there is just, I think, I wouldn't even say on par, because I think that this is just miscalculate, like misunderstanding. It's not on par or not on par anymore. It's just a very high quality products, software or hardware products. It doesn't matter, but it's just it has a different business model behind it. It in many cases has a different engine, how it's being done, and compared to Western businesses and brands. So this is very interesting. You had a post on LinkedIn today about this new change with Temu. Can you tell a little bit more about like what do you see there happening with the business models of marketplaces in China these days?
I think first of all, what we should clarify is what does it mean when we talk about Chinese? Yeah, and very often when we talk about Chinese, we mean it's cheap, it's low quality, it's plastic, and stuff like this. And what we still haven't realized that historically, that's actually not what China is defined by. Yeah, and my standard question is, why is the Silk Road called Silk Road? And of course, it's a rhetorical question because we imported silk over the Silk Road, yeah, and porcelain and a lot of other luxury stuff that came from China for thousands of years. And the fact that we think China is only for cheap stuff is because that was our experience for the last 50 years. For the last 5,000 years before, or 2,000, it was totally different. Yeah, China was always defined by the most luxurious products. And I always say that Marco Polo didn't went to China to get cheap stuff from Temu. Yeah, he went there because he wanted to see where all the luxury came from.
Yeah.
And um, so that's something that we have to learn. Yeah, we have to catch up on Chinese or Asian history, because that's where China is going back to, yeah, providing really good quality products. And if you go to China, that's actually what you experience in all these malls that are full of EV car brands. They're actually extremely good quality at a good pricing. And another thing that's interesting in China is the fact that they don't have the inflation problem that we have. Things are still pretty reasonably priced. And so you get a good price for pretty good quality. And that's actually what we should by now define as Chinese.
But why do you think this difference happens? What's the driver in the economy or in like the social construct that allows this difference in inflation?
Yeah, I think that's not so much a problem of China; it's our problem. Yeah, if you look at what happened here, like for example, we are waiting for this $1 trillion IPOs from Anthropic and OpenAI and SpaceX, and the stock prices are all crazy. Yeah, well, at least the few top runners. And I think that led to something that we call asset inflation. Yeah, all these assets became extremely expensive. That all created an illusion of being rich, right? And of being able to become rich pretty quickly. Yeah, just buy a few crypto coins, wait a few years or months or weeks or hours, I don't know. And then I'm a millionaire and can buy everything. And I think that actually fueled the problem of pricing. Yeah, and that combined with the fact that we always talk about capitalism, but capitalism is not the interesting thing. Market economy is the interesting thing, and market economy means that we have competition, and competition is supposed to eliminate all the high profits and high profit margins that companies are enjoying. They can only enjoy this because there's no competition. And in
Interesting.
China, there is a lot of competition. Yeah. If you have high profits, there are 50 other people probably or companies coming your way and trying to take away your profit. And that's actually how it's supposed to be.
Mm,
And I mean, in many areas, it's still the case. But if you look at, for example, the tech sector, there's no real competition. You know, all
mm.
the big tech companies, they all have their little areas where they have their monopolies, and then they have certain areas where they are a little bit competing with each other. But why are the stock markets so high? Because everybody thinks that they will turn extremely great profits for, I don't know, forever. And that's strange. Yeah, I'm an economist by training. I learned in university that that's not supposed to happen, and that's the situation that we think is totally normal. Yeah, that these companies can enjoy profits forever. What we forget is who pays for these profits, and that's actually us. Yeah, the reason why we don't want to have big profits is that we don't distribute this wealth to a few companies. We actually want to distribute this wealth to the consumers. And that's still the case in China. Yeah, you still have extreme competition there. Everything has very low margin, and that also means everybody can enjoy low prices.
Yeah. Well, wow, that's really interesting because it seems like, well, it sounds like it's more capitalism than you would think China is, right?
Market economy.
Market economy, exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
they have. I mean, capitalism means that private individuals earn the capital means. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly. But it means that more private individuals in China are creating something, and then um,
and that's the case. Yeah, like DeepSeek.
mhm,
As far as I heard, the founder of DeepSeek, nobody in politics knew him until he appeared on the world stage with the third version of his model, and it worked so great. Yeah,
mhm.
and so there is capitalism. There are private entrepreneurs doing business in China, and there's competition, and that's the competition part. That's what we are missing, and that's one of the problems. And that's probably also the reason why we are so surprised by Temu and Shein,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
because they are suddenly there, and we have no way to compete with them. And that's also something that I think Chinese companies learned over the last 2 years. Uh, the West is a great market because there's no competition. When we get there, nobody knows what to do.
This is so mind blowing to think this way, right? Just to think that Western markets are the markets with no competition. Like we're living in the reality where, like, yeah, should we start another DTC brand, or isn't there already a DTC brand for everything? And then in reality, no, because the model is different. One model is just take a premium for your good marketing, for the marketing strategy that you created, and another one is just create a product that will be reasonably priced at a high volume and with a very good logistics, and there you go. And this is Shein, right? And again, back to my previous question about your post, like, can you tell a little bit more about like what Sheen is, or sorry, what Tamu is planning to do, and
Individual, yeah. The
what
mother
what does it mean for the platform economy? How they call it? Like, yeah.
Yeah, what's interesting with Temu and Shein is that they appeared very suddenly in our markets. They were with a breakneck speed that everybody was surprising for everybody, but they haven't changed much in the last 2 years, right? Yeah, the app still looks more or less the same. The products are more or less the same. Not much has changed, and from what we're seeing from China is that Pinduoduo, the parent company of Temu, is actually planning a new model. What they have a very good knowledge of the supply chain in China. They can basically produce any product at a pretty good quality, and they want to combine this with the reach that Temu now has. And they want to. I think one of the analogies that people are using is they want to turn Temu in some kind of Costco. Yeah, you know Costco with the
Yeah, of course
Kirkland
they do.
brand.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that they have their own brand, which is a decent quality at a good pricing. Yeah, it's not luxury. It's an okay quality, but it's a good price. And that's probably what they are aiming for. Yeah, selling on this either new company or under this new brand on Temu. I have no idea. Um, but they want to sell their own brands, their own branded products, like Kirkland from Costco. Uh, but we don't have to worry about the quality anymore. Yeah, we can buy it if the execution is done right. We can buy it from this new store, and we know that we get a good quality. And that's, uh, I think that's the plan. If they are actually good in executing it, we will see. But what that might mean is that right now, if you buy something on Temu, you never really know what you get. Yeah, because from every product you have like 100 different options, all look the same. They are probably not the same. maybe come from the same factory, maybe not. You have no idea. At that point, if they are really good in executing this, then you know that you get a good quality. Why buy this same thing in another marketplace at a premium price? Because it's not a really quality product. It's an okay product. Yeah, and that might ruin the business for a lot of marketplaces. Yeah, it's just a theory that I had once I read about the strategy. But maybe at a certain point, we only have two segments in e-commerce. Yeah, you have one, these global brand builders, where the Chinese supply chain combined with a brand and pretty good quality sell you all the stuff that you want to buy cheap. And on the other hand side, you have the real authentic high quality brands that you buy. They are still there. Yeah, you don't always have to get the cheap stuff. You also happy to buy a luxury product, but on the other hand side, it has to be really good. And that's also something that we saw in China happening for the last 1 or 2 years, that people started to stop buying branded products just because of the brand. Yeah, it's what I read somewhere from a friend of mine. She wrote that it's the end of prestige theater. Yeah, you have to really provide an additional value. If you have a good brand with a good quality and a good story and a good context, people are still willing to pay a premium for it. But if it's just a story and the quality is not that good, then you no longer have to stand a chance. And that might also come to our markets.
Yeah. You recently had like an article where um you're writing about the old domain commerce. This is like the term that you used, and it to me this is very interesting because it means that this is something past omnichannel, and I think a lot of the Western companies are still caught up in this trying to become more omnichannel. Do you think that like Chinese brands and Chinese retail is just different, or is it a step ahead of us, or like several steps ahead of us in building this all domain commerce instead of omnichannel?
Yeah, they think different. Yeah, I mean, what is omni-channel? Yeah, omni-channel means you have an online channel and you have an offline channel, and there are some ways these two are connected. Sometimes better than others. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the main problem is we think of them separately. They are still different channels, but they are connected somehow. That's what omni-channel means very often. Yeah. And Chinese always think in systems, in ecosystems. So it's not just one. It's one system that's not connected, but it has merged. Yeah, for a long time there was the expression of online merge offline. Yeah, that's like 10 years ago. And omnichannel brings in another aspect. It's not online and offline, not omnichannel, but all domain commerce. There's four things that we are combining with this. You have online and offline channel, yeah, or online and physical retail, basically. That's our omnichannel. But in China, you also have private and public traffic. And public traffic means everything that comes from public channels, paid reach. Yeah, if you buy something, buy a reach on Instagram or TikTok, that's public traffic. And here, what's our goal? Conversion, right? I put a few coins into the slot machine, and then out comes a few eyeballs, and then I try to convert them. Yeah, that's basically our model, right? In online commerce. In
Yeah, funnel, the model of funnel.
Yeah, exactly. And in China, companies don't want to convert you directly, but they want to build a lasting relationship with you. And that's actually also what Shein and Temu did. Yeah, they didn't put all these billions of dollars into Google and Meta to convert them into direct revenue. They put all this money into to get you to install the app. And then come back into the app again and again. And that's public, that's private traffic. Yeah, so you use public traffic to turn it into private traffic, build a lasting relationship, and then you no longer have to pay for the customer because it's always there. And all domain commerce means you combine the physical retail with the online channel and the public traffic with the private traffic. Yeah, all these four things combined into one system. That's what all domain commerce means. Basically, you're building an ecosystem with all your different touch points around the customer.
Yeah. That's a very interesting thought, and you would think that, in the Western markets, we do think in funnels. Like there are answers to every step of the funnel. So the acquisition part of the funnel, it's the Instagrams and TikToks and all of the places where we generate awareness about our products, and then we always think in like we should convert somewhere. So it means that we need a website, we need a mobile app, we need a um, some kind of like marketplaces product description page or something somewhere. And so in China, just the model is so different because it's not about the brands. It's not about in Western. I think it's all about brand building. So I'm trying to build a product, a brand, or something like this, an invention, and I'm trying to bring this invention to the world. So I need all of those steps of the funnel. In China, the businesses were manufacturing, so they're manufacturing first.
They're
So they
building
need
all
a
the brands.
platform.
Yeah,
Now,
I think if
But,
you,
but correct me if I'm wrong, like because I'm really not. I don't know what I'm saying
no,
here. I mean, like, this is just thoughts. Yeah.
I think if you think about the funnel in three steps, yeah, just a very simple funnel. Then we have the top of the funnel. That's the awareness parts. Yeah, nice cozy videos and stuff like this. Yeah, and then you have the lower funnel. That's where the conversion happens. Yeah, that's where the performance marketing is. There's no happy world. It's all about generating revenue. Yeah. What's in the middle? What are we doing in the middle? And if we start thinking about it, we realize not much. But in the middle, that's where you build lasting trust. You inform people about what you're doing. Your service experiences are there. Yeah, stuff like this. And very often that's only seen as costs. Yeah, awareness costs money. Okay, we have to spend it. The performance guys, the conversion guys have to generate the revenue. There's nothing in between. Yeah, and the funny thing, if you start thinking about this, or if you look to China, you realize that most of the stuff that's happening in China is happening in the middle. Yeah. That also the reason for this is also that Chinese consumers are extremely interested in learn about a new brand. Yeah, like if you have an online shop for a brand, it's nothing special for a Chinese consumer to read 2 hours about the whole system history of your brand because they want to know context. But basically, what they are doing is they are building a relationship to this brand, and that's something that we used to do like 20 years ago, but that somehow fell through the whole efficiency cracks that marketing is these days. Yeah, and that's also the reason GfK, I think they are no longer around, they have a new name, but this big market research company here in Germany, they did a study already 2, 3, 4 years ago about love brands that turned into burnout brands. And if you think about what happened to companies like Kellogg's during the inflation phase, I'm not sure how that was in the Netherlands, but here um, the big supermarket chain delisted them for a while because they wanted to raise prices. The purchasing departments of the supermarkets didn't want to pay for it, so they said, "Okay, fine, take your stuff. We no longer sell it. Come back when you have a nice price." And so you had empty shelf space just with a sign that said, "Hey, customer, you want to buy Kellogg? Sorry, we don't sell it anymore because they were too greedy." Um, in the 90s or 20 years ago, there would be public outrage because they couldn't buy their love brand. They would go to the next supermarket. Nowadays, they say, okay, if it's not there, fine, then I take another one. And that's a good sign for that we unlearned how to do real good branding. Yeah, we do awareness, and then we generate these eyeballs, and then we put them into our conversion machine and turn them into short-term revenue. Fine, but there's not much happening after this. Yeah, you have CRM, but basically CRM is well, it's a newsletter uh, distribution list, basically. Yeah, and I always have a chart after the CRM thing that says where your CRM newsletters come from, probably at no reply at imagreatbrand.com, right?
Yeah,
Because I
exactly.
don't want to hear from the customer. Yeah, why should I? He can buy something, but he shouldn't bother calling me. And that's something that clearly shows that I'm not interested in building lasting relationships. And that's something that you actually can learn from China. And the article on Medium that you talked about, that was the other aspect there. Yeah, that um, community building between my customers, between my fans, between me as a brand and my customers and my fans, all these social interactivity that could happen there. It's a huge potential for brand building and for also conversion at a certain point.
We recently had why I'm so interested and so keen on this article is that we recently had a fantastic interview with a British brand called Lemieux. So they're an equestrian brand, and they do like super expensive stuff for horse riding and for this particular sport. So what they did was, I think, just genius and very clever. They created a mobile app where they created a community element to it. So it's a commercial mobile app, but they have a community aspect to it. And the thing is that the e-commerce leader of the brand was in the interview, Sean Lucklin. Hey, Sean. If you're if you're listening to this or watching this interview, by the way, go check this out. This is in the history of the channel. But what he said was just fascinating. That in this mobile app, which is essentially a commercial app, they have 40 to 50 times retention per day, the daily uses per user. So people return to the commercial app to see the updates of the events, the equestrian events, or like the charts, some kind of, or they added the ability to share something over videos or like comments, and they build this community with it, and I think that this is really fascinating because if you think about it, you're so right. Marketers can really spoil anything, and like this funnel approach, if you think about it, every single step, including what we call retention, like what you said about the CRM and like the email part, the end of it, the end goal of it is still conversion, because this is we try to put the ROI on everything. And maybe there are some things where you should not put ROI on, because those 40 to 50 visits a day per user might not end up in a sale, and that's fine. But it's so powerful if you're a top of mind brand for people. It's a no-brainer that if when they would need some kind of like equipment, I have no idea what kind of equipment is needed for equestrian sports, but if they need some kind of equipment, they of course will go and buy it through this app because they're spending so much time there. And I think that this is very fascinating. And do you think that there are like big brands in Western markets that you can point out as like best practices when it comes to this community building, or this, like all domain commerce building, that is on par with the Chinese strategies these days?
I don't know any. Yeah, I mean, Lululemon, for example, in
Yeah.
China is extremely successful, and they are doing exactly that, and but on a level that's totally different from what they are doing here, I think. Um, but the example is a great one. Yeah, probably because I don't know the brand, but probably because they are actually also riders. Yeah, horse
Yeah,
riders. They love horses, and the business that they are doing is has just outgrown of their hobby. And
yeah,
so
exactly.
they are very interested in talking to other people who have the same hobby. And so this whole community building for them is not something that came out of the strategy paper, but it's just normal, natural, yeah, how they do this. Because if we are all connected through a hobby, it's totally normal that I want to exchange my experiences with other people do having the same hobby. And um, so this kind of company, they don't think that much about just efficiency, yeah, and they are doing, obviously, probably, I don't know, hopefully, a good business with building lasting relationship. Yeah, and
This is a very interesting because I heard many times for the past for like 5 to 6 years, if you want to be a successful brand in this market, you need to become a media company. So every company has to become a media company, and this is so like such a Western approach. Why would you want to become a media company? Because you want to communicate, and this is acquisition. This is top of funnel because you want to communicate and be top of mind through this constant communication. But in the end of the day, you want to sell, and it's so much different to actually hosting this community, being a host instead of being this kind of a newspaper for everybody. There's nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong in being a media. There are a lot of brands who are doing a great job with this, but I think that this is such an interesting take on this underestimated opportunity for brands, because if you think about it, today's social media is not is it's not social and it's not media anymore, because it
exactly.
feeds you with the algorithm. It feeds you something that the algorithm thinks. So it's not media in a sense of, oh, this is what actually happens in the world, so this is the objective truth about what happens in the world. It's not that, and it's not social anymore, because I'm like, I have no idea what happens to my like high school friends or like university friends, college friends, because, well, I don't see them in the feeds because algorithm thinks that it's
Exactly,
not
yeah.
cool to show them.
By the
So it
way,
only, yeah,
interesting thing, right? We all loved what Facebook was like 15 years ago, and it's no longer there. Instagram was great to share moments with friends. It's no
yeah,
longer there. Um, Sounds like a good market opportunity to me. Yeah, and
100%.
I'm still waiting for somebody who turns up with a real social network again,
Hmm.
because the need is still there to
Yeah,
connect with friends and
but this
share
is an
more.
opportunity for brands, because if you're like
And
an
or for a
equestrian brand, or
new social network. Yes,
yeah, you host the community. You give a platform
exactly.
to
Yeah,
people who have the same common interest, and they can actually communicate. They can actually see what's happening in around their hobby or around like the world that they're living in. It's I think it's so powerful.
but
And
it has a real problem. The problem is
uh-huh,
that
uh-huh,
we have to change our thinking 180 degrees, because if we think about conversion, yeah, we and if that's the main KPI that we have on our Excel sheet, we don't want to people just to come around to hang out. Yeah, that's horrible for the conversion. Yeah, they should come around when they want to buy something, but just to meet friends and talk to us, what's the business case for that? Yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons why we just don't care about building real communities. Yeah, and media, having a media company is also was just another word for reach. Yeah,
mhm,
just generating eyeballs in a different way. But it was never about building lasting relationships. And that's one of my favorite examples is, or my favorite question is, um, going with friends downtown to shops and buy something there. Probably I asked the same question last time I was on. Um, is something that's a totally normal use case. Yeah, going with friends shopping. How do you do this online? How
yeah,
can I get online together with friends and buy something? As a shared experience, but also if like I know something about certain products, my friends don't know anything, I want to share my knowledge, I will want to talk about what we're seeing. There's no infrastructure, there's no shop that ever have even thought about this.
No, I think there were attempts of trying to make this happen in certain marketplaces. I think that yeah, some clothes brands tried to do it. Some I don't want to name any names here because I'm not certain about like, but
I haven't
there
I haven't seen any. I mean, if there are any cases, I would be happy to
but
hear
but
them.
but there are no successful cases. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
the question is, what does success mean? Yeah, actually, it's something that's technically totally easy to do. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
basically screen sharing,
Hmm.
like what we do every day, like right now, or doing with on our last Teams call.
Hmm.
Um, and you could build this very easily into every shop. And I think it should be everywhere. Yeah, where you have a function, you see a product in your e-commerce shop, you put a button, you push a button, and then you're connected to a friend, and we can both see because he has the same app. Yeah, okay, that's something that actually drives maybe app installs, uh, and then we both see the same things in the shop. It's totally easy to do. It's something that when I talk about this in presentations or workshops for clients, everybody is blown away and says that this is something that we have to have. But the problem is, I'm saying this for like over 5 years now, and I still haven't seen it anywhere.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have no idea why. Um,
because I think that typically something like this goes into the bucket of like, how will this drive conversion? How what kind of return on the investment will we get in the end? And I'm certain that it's not part of any of the existing platforms like Salesforce or something like this. So it's not coming out of the books. You need to develop it,
but I
and you
think
need.
it would actually drive conversion and revenue because if
Hmm.
I'm the leading fashion retailer online,
Hmm.
like Zalando or don't know who's still around,
Zalando is
ASOS
a good
or
example for
yeah,
Europe for sure. Yeah.
Zalando is a good example. Yeah, and my one of my core features is the fact that when a couple of girls want to buy something online, they can go online and see each other looking at stuff. Yeah, um, the investment is probably pretty small, and the upside is pretty big, I think, because
Hmm.
all the others don't have it. Probably, if the first one has it and if it's successful, everybody else will implement it too. But still, yeah. And I think it points more to the thinking. In China, it's totally
Mm.
normal to think about being social. That the whole internet is a social place. Here, the internet is always a very isolated place. Everything that I do online, I do it more or less by ourselves, and that brings us back to brands. What's a target group? For us, a target group is a group of isolated individuals, right? That I want to connect to, that I want to reach and get into our eyeball machine to convert them. We never really think about the target group as an interconnected group of social people, but that's basically what we are. Yeah, I think everybody is connected to other people, technically on these kind of platforms, but also socially, at work, at home, playing soccer with friends, whatever. Yeah, it's you never reach people isolated. You always potentially reach them in groups, and then you can address them in groups and use this. And that's also a thought that I don't see very often in companies.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Um, it wouldn't be an interview in 2026 if we wouldn't talk about AI. So, what is your take? And in your article, you were also mentioning the AI usage for like retail, for like physical retail and just retail strategies in general. Like, what is your take on the opportunities lying ahead of retailers with the use of AI for for some of the benefits that we just discussed?
Yeah, AI is actually my favorite topic right now, and I always start with asking, what has the AI actually changed in the last 3 years? Yeah, I'm hearing about AI changing everything. What did AI change? Yeah, I
Well,
mean, there are a lot of processes in the back end that has changed. Yeah, I now can do my social share pics easily, and I could fire all the interns, stuff like this. Yeah, but that's not really world-changing revolution. Yeah, it's having a few processes that are a little bit more efficient. Is that the reason why we are spending like hundreds of billions of dollars for these data centers to generate share picks a little bit easier?
no.
Not sure if that's a really good business case here.
Well, it's a little bit more exciting than spending hundreds of billions on something like SAP or some of those products that've been around for a very long time in the market, and they're really really outdated in terms of the user interface and experience and things like this. But
But I
everybody
think
who tried to work with SAP products, I hope you understand. Tell us about this, about your experience in the comments below, please.
yeah, and again, we have the same problem again that we keep thinking the same thoughts. Yeah, and we have our processes, we have the way how we handle business, how we do conversion, and now AI is there. Okay, we use it in the same way we always did things to make things a little bit more easier, cheaper, faster, stuff like this. But we are not really changing things. And what I always say is Shein is actually an AI first company. Yeah, nobody talks about this that way, but basically, I think at this point everybody knows the supply chain system of Shein, and that this is all irgendwie just the core of the business model, supply chain as a service, and so on and so on. But it's driven by AI. Yeah, and what did they do? They said that how can we reimagine how the supply chain works for fashion if we use AI? Yeah, and that's a question that we should ask more often. Not how can we do the stuff that we've always been doing a little bit more cheaper, but uh, what does AI make possible that wasn't possible before? And scaling communities is one of the things that AI actually makes possible. Yeah, that I have a reflection here. uh,
Yeah, no
um,
worries.
yeah, that's one of the things that that you can also study in China. Like for example, if we use AI, if Google uses AI, what does Google do? Google looks at what other people wrote and then generates the kind of info that we are looking for, that I am looking for, but with Google as the sender. Yeah, that's these no-click searches that are now ruining the business models of a lot of websites. But maybe they put a link in there, but nobody clicks on them. But the basic idea is AI generates the content. Yeah, if you look to a social network like Xiaohongshu, yeah, which very often is characterized as the Instagram of China, but it's much more complex than that. But it's more a mixture of Instagram, Pinterest, and Reddit, and a blogging platform and an e-commerce all rolled into one. But what the search function there is also AI based. But what it is doing is that uh, if I look for a certain brand, it generates content, but based on the postings from other users, and it tells me who wrote about this content, who wrote about this brand. So actually, Xiaohongshu uses AI to create something like a instant brand community because the people who actually wrote about this brand are still visible. And the AI helps us to find human generated content instead of generating it by itself. And that's a very interesting way to use AI and still staying social. Yeah, because the system then helps me to find other people who think like me. that I would
Mhm.
like to talk to, or I would like to see content from.
Yeah. No, that's a very interesting twist. Yeah, but I think that AI is is a way of doing something different. So it's not a product in itself. So to think that AI should change something on its own, it's like should agile approach to teams, change anything on its own? No, it shouldn't. It's just an approach. If you want to use it, you would work differently. It's just again how we think. We think, oh, okay, we want to get the ROI. So if
Yeah,
we implement AI, there should be an outcome on the investment of the AI that we're making here. And this is why a lot of like I'm talking to a lot of designers recently, like like web designers and UX UI and people from different companies, and we came up with a very interesting analogy in one of the conversations, like our like grandmothers used to do like the laundry every single week, not more often, because it was a demanding, it was hard to do. So they did it on a weekly basis. But today with washing machines and everything, like we do it several times a day because it's just so effortless. The same thing with this, like for example design on this stage. And it doesn't mean that we don't need designers anymore. It just means that we need them to create landing pages and those parts of the funnel daily, not weekly, because they needed to actually create the design. Claude Design really changed how we can create design from a single prompt to a very well created designed HTML that you can just post on the server, and there it is, and it's all adaptive, mobile, on desktop, and everything, right from the Claude, like this .md files that it uses to like an instruction. It's fascinating. This really changed, but this is how we as people use the new ability that was unlocked for us. And like it all depends again on human brain and how we are wired. So like, for example, you were saying about the example of like finding other human beings, and I'm something tells me that there is not 99% of executives are thinking the same way. They're thinking of like how to cut, how to do the ROI, etc., etc. So it's
yeah.
it's very interesting. It's very
I
interesting.
think everybody thinks about efficiency,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
AI helps with that. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with being more efficient,
Hmm.
but maybe basically AI makes things possible, and I have to choose what I want to make possible.
Yes,
And if
yes.
it's just efficiency, I'm stuck with efficiency. I'm stuck in the processes that I'm already in. But there are a lot of very interesting ways to use AI that you can see in China, that go beyond what we are accustomed to do. Yeah, the established processes. Like for example, Axio. Axio is ACCIO, is a brand from Alibaba that's actually for Western markets, and it's have you heard about that? Have you
No,
tried
I
that?
actually haven't. No.
Okay. Try it out. It's pretty interesting because basically it's an AI chatbot. Yeah, you have the same chatbot feeling interface where you can just put in a prompt, but out comes not an image of something, but a supply chain for a product. Yeah, you can basically imagine every product, any product, and Axios tries to find a supply chain for this. Yeah, yeah, like for example, you have certain areas that where you want to create a product in. Then you have market research where you can just let Axio do market research for you. And once you find something that's interesting, you can say, okay, now generate, like, for example, photos, images from this product, depending on the market research that I did and the prompt stuff that I put in there. And then Axio generates an image, yeah, and or a couple of images, and you fine tune this, and then you have actually something that you usually would send to a supplier. And that's where the interesting thing comes in. The generating an image, something that Google or ChatGPT also can do. But because it's Alibaba behind it, they have millions of suppliers in there, and they actually what they are doing is that they can put you in touch with a supplier. Yeah, a company might be in China, where most of them obviously are, but it could also be in Italy or in Brazil, and then you can use the app to actually negotiate a contract for delivery of this product. Pretty interesting thing, right?
This is
And
very interesting, and yeah, I haven't seen this particular one. I heard about the models like this, but this is very interesting, and yeah, I've just checked out their website. They have a very interesting video on the front page of the website that kind of explains everything, and
yeah, the other thing is
the guy
what's the,
just
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, the what's I mean, Gen AI, all this stuff, that's last year, right? What we are
Yeah,
talking about right now is what?
agentic, right?
Agentic, right?
Yeah, of
And
course.
if you look for Axio Work, you actually find their agent products that were launched end of March, beginning April. So like, what's that? 3 months ago, about. Uh, and there you find actually AI agents helping you with your e-commerce business, like looking for suppliers, like handling all the formalities when you import something and all these things. Yeah, and they um, launched this in beta in April, like 3 months ago, 2 months ago. Uh, and I just saw a press release that now 250,000 sellers worldwide are already using this.
Yeah.
And if you
Because
think
it
about,
sounds too good to be true. Like there is literally a video on the front page where the guy types in a prompt of like, "I need to generate a revenue of 10,000. Like, can you tell me what should I do as a seller?" And then there's agents running around and like creating a business plan for him and finding a supplier for him and just generating the content for his Shopify page and then etc. etc. So it is fascinating. Yeah.
yeah, and if you think about agentic AI, we know lots of stuff from our LinkedIn feeds, right? Examples, POCs, pilots. Do we know any example that's already used at scale, generating millions of revenue? I don't.
Not really. Yeah.
It's a concept, and I have this little model that's called the innovation theater cycle, where we use innovation to generate basically PR, but not results. Yeah, we have something like Gen AI that comes along. Everybody is talking about this. Everybody develops FOMO. Then comes companies like Deloitte and Accenture and tell the big brands that they have to do something because they have these charts showing that everybody will be doing something with it. Then they are building some proof of concepts or pilots that actually work pretty well, yeah, on a small scale. Um, and then we try to scale it into the organization. And then we realize that our legacy systems don't hold up. The worker council don't like it. There's some data protection stuff going on, makes things complicated. The people from the other department hate the whole thing. Yeah, end of the story is we don't get it scaled, but we have the POC. So we put this into the press release. And then, well, now we have agentic AI. So nobody cares about Gen AI anymore. We now talk about agentic. Um, and so we do the next turn in our innovation theater cycle. And so very often we only talk about innovation. Yeah, we very often just put the next hype thing into the cycle, but we don't do anything with this. Yeah, small scale, yes, pilots, yes, and proof of concepts, and we do all that. But really, stuff that's really changing how we work usually is too complicated.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
kind of breaking up. I'm not sure if I'm still on.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, yeah, it looks good. Maybe the browser is the memory
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
coming to a limit. Yeah, but that's a real problem that we have right now with the agentic. Yeah, as we had with Gen AI. Yeah, small scale things work, but we don't really use it to change the stuff that we should change. And here, perhaps as as the last part of this is, um, what changed now, that's something we've been doing for like 20, 30 years with these kind of innovations, because every Western company is working this way. Chinese don't do innovation theater. Yeah, they actually scale these things. And they now scale these things and come to our markets and bring the competition to us. And that's something that right now we are experiencing more and more. Yeah, and I think that's the real threat from AI. It's not that AI is replacing all our workers and nobody has to do any work anymore because AI is doing this. No, I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that these Chinese companies use AI and then are extremely successful with this and become extremely efficient, and then they compete with us, and we suddenly realize that this is a real problem.
Yeah. No, that's very, very interesting because we think that, oh, it's something out there. It's like Shein and Temu, like, yeah, we can, in US, they think tariffs maybe, well, not everybody. Some people think that tariffs will solve the problem, quote unquote, or, but it's something out there. But what we realize now is that really we can become so tempted by adopting some of the models, some of the software that will just change our business models from within. Because if there is a tool that can generate everything from Shein, so you as a buyer can say, no, I'm only buying like local brands, and I'm this and this and this. But then the brands who are actually selling this to you will connect the algorithm on the back end that would create all of those pathways and all of those processes connected to Temu and Shein and Alibaba. And yeah, just feed the product with all of the content, AI generated content, everything customized to your region, to your particular country, and the specifically to what you would like to buy. And yeah, this is fascinating. This is very, very interesting, and we're really underestimating this part of the algorithms. We think that it comes with a logo on the face of it, like a Sheen will be written all over it. It might not be. It might be
Yeah,
somewhere in
Shein
the
and
back end.
Temu were just the start.
Yes, yes, yes.
And Temu, TikTok Shop right now is also something that's extremely underestimated, I think, still. Um,
Yeah,
and there's way more coming. And that's the reason why I think it makes sense to actually go to China and take a look around, but also just read about it. Yeah? Or if you organize a conference in retail, in e-commerce, invite speakers from China, or I mean me, but also a
yeah.
lot of other people at Xander, for example. Yeah, I have more than one speaker about China. I think that's something that we have to do.
Interesting. Yeah, we're going to. So there's a link to Bjorn's LinkedIn in the description of this video or podcast that you're listening to below. So please go ahead and subscribe. Bjorn is sharing a lot of different stuff. I'm reading him all the time, every week, and there's a lot of very interesting things. And the news are coming and coming in. And if you want to really understand what is happening there, just go ahead and subscribe. And I think that your LinkedIn profile is a very great source of all of this information. By the way, LinkedIn is also becoming more and more. I mean, less and less as a social media, and you can really see the change in how the algorithms are feeding us something that maybe we're not subscribed to. Maybe it's not what we used to, and it is changing as well. Interesting, Bjorn. Again, a whole hour just flew by us very, very fast. Thank you very, very much. As always, it's been a pleasure, and it's been a blast with a lot of different insights, a lot of topics to think about for retailers and e-commerce businesses that are part of this community that we're doing here. Thank you very much again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. And
Thank you. Enjoy
anytime again.
the holidays ahead. Yes, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.